Welcome to the Global Coherence Pulse. This is our second session for today, August 8th. I know that it is 0808, the Lions Gate, and there have been so many celebrations happening all over the internet, all around the world. I think people are gathering. We've been sending and pulsing the love that we've been generating in our sessions out into the field to join all of those that are opening up for this day of activation. I read some things about it, and it was saying that this is a perfect moment for new beginnings and for activating the kind of like the essential nature of yourself and contributing that to the world. And I know that that's a lot of what we're generating here in the Global Coherence Pulse. Because as we come into heart-centered coherence, we're actually connecting in with our natural state of being, which is in harmony with all of life. And so today we celebrate our innate coherence, our innate heart coherence. And that's going to be the focus of our session today. I want to start by just thanking all of our registrants from the Global Coherence Pulse. I think many of you tried to come into our Islands of Coherence site this morning, and the wave of people that rushed in crashed the site at first. So some of you were not able to get in, and Penny sweetly, I think, sent you over to Facebook so that you could watch. If you missed the morning session, I'm going to put some links in the chat. We have the recording loaded up on our Islands of Coherence page, which is active right now. And there might be some of you that are watching there helping us out to test the system. There's also recordings of our events from last week for Global Coherence Day. And I'll put all of that in the chat so that you have a chance if you weren't able to do that. But again, I want to thank you for your patience and your kindness. Penny and Alexi, it's really a small team that's taking care of you and making all of this possible. And they really appreciate when something happens, and it's a little frustrating that we have an exchange that's kind of full of love and heart, and it makes it so much easier to support you and to get things working. So we really want to say thank you for that. And I really want to send a little wave of love and just thank you to Penny and Alexi just right now. Maybe we can all do that together as we're coming on. There's just so much that is being done, and these guys are doing it with so much love and so much care and so much presence that I just want them in this moment to feel nourished. Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. All right. And this is the perfect way for us to start this session, right? Is that we're connected in our heart. We're feeling our appreciation and gratitude. We're feeling our appreciation and gratitude for ourselves for showing up. We're feeling appreciation and gratitude for the waves of people who are actually saying, yes, yes, I want to be a coherent presence on the planet. I know how important that is, and it's time. So we'll just start this session in gratitude today, and we'll carry that throughout. The session goes for 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. We give ourselves that little leeway in case like we need to go a little longer with the meditation, or there's something with the music, or there's just a little moment that we need of pause, and to make sure that we have enough time for all of our announcements and things to help you with this month-long experience. So we'll end at 6:15 at the latest, and afterwards there is a community integration lounge that we'll give you some links to so that you can join us there and have a chance to connect with other people in the community and have a chance to integrate the energy that we generate here together. Our featured guest today is Marya Lefferts, one of my favorite men on the planet, longtime friend and colleague. And we have Marya Stark with us today, who is our featured musician. We are in for a real treat today. And the theme of our event is causing harmony. And as I said, when we are in coherence, in our natural state of coherence, we are in harmony with all of life. And I think Marshall's going to give us some insights into what that really means from both a science perspective. Marshall's really good at kind of taking some of the new science, the unified science, and making it like easy for those of us that aren't scientists, but he's also an embodiment, in my opinion, of that harmony. And Marya, of course, with her music, and you'll get a chance to experience her. It's going to be a real treat. We'll actually be experiencing that really beautiful harmonic radiation that she is. So I'm going to first hand the mic over to my co-partner, co-founder of the Global Coherence Pulse, Claudia.
It does look like Teresa maybe got locked up there. Claudia, you're working on your screen share, I see. Marya, you're still moving, aren't you?
I'm still in the mix. Hi, friends.
Okay, we got this.
We're doing it. And while these folks are coming back, just invite you to take a deep breath. Oh, hey, we're coming in.
Coming back.
It's live and alive in the realms.
Claudia, when you're ready to share your screen again, you can do that. There we go. You see it?
Am I here?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, great.
Come on in.
Great. Yeah, sorry, I lost Teresa there, so missed my cue. Is she back yet? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, that's all right, because what we're going to do now is we're going to be doing a review. And we did a lot of science this morning, and Marshall's going to be sharing a lot about coherence this afternoon. So this is just super quick as an orientation for anyone who might be new. What we're doing on these pulses is essentially crowdsourcing coherent heart energy that will be generating as a natural response to our feelings of love, gratitude, compassion, joyful appreciation, and other regenerative emotions to help create a tipping point in collective consciousness and benefit all life. As a free and open citizen science initiative and social collaboration, we represent a meta-network of aligned communities and organizations and a scientific collaboration to demonstrate the real-world effects of our coherent pulses based on the science of the HeartMath Institute, and supported by technology including HeartMath's Global Coherence app and the optional personal sensor, as well as a collaborative network of global monitors that combined allow us to track the coherence we're building individually and that we're contributing collectively to the global field. Remember that no purchase is required to participate in this citizen science experiment. All that's required is your commitment and coherent heart. And as I said this morning, today, we started migrating from the global group on the app that we usually use to our own group. So we can start tracking the heart coherence that's generated specifically by our pulses. If you already have the free Global Coherence Initiative app installed and are logged in, I'll show you the quick steps for finding and joining our group. And more detailed instructions will be on the Pulse website and our Islands of Coherence virtual retreat space, so you can always do this later. But if you're on, you can get on your welcome screen and click the Join Group button on the bottom left. On the next screen, you'll see a number of public groups listed. Just scroll down to the Global Coherence Pulse public group and tap it to select it. At the next screen, click Add this group. And once you add the group, you'll be taken back to the welcome screen and simply scroll down to the subheading My Groups and find the Global Coherence Pulse public group, which looks like this. Just tap on it and select it. And you'll be taken to the Join Session screen where you can tap on Join Session at the top. And voila, he'll be taken to the session room, which has two views. One is a visual interpretation of Earth with a field of coherence around it that varies with the levels of coherence we generate. Or you can swipe left to a quantitative analysis page showing total group coherence and our own individual coherence if you've opted for a personal sensor and are connected to it. If you don't have a personal sensor, the app can't quantify and record your personal coherence, but your heart still counts. And you can see your heart presence by clicking Map on the upper right. And there you'll be with everyone else whose presence is being counted. A quick reminder that this coherent waveform on the right is what we'll be generating through our hearts and what we'll be pulsing the planet with. This is the physiological signature of love at the core of the human system. And we have confidence in this strategy for helping transform our world because we know that it's been scientifically demonstrated that in complex systems far from equilibrium, as our world is now, small islands of coherence can shift the entire system to a higher order. And because we believe that when we come together for our synchronized pulses, we're contributing to scientific evidence of effects on a growing global network of sensors and metrics that correspond with our coherent pulses and help science tell a new story of our profound interconnectedness. Like the Global Coherence Initiative's global network of ultra-sensitive magnetometers. Can we find evidence of our coherence reflected in Earth field fluctuations? The Global Consciousness Project, whose global network of random number generators have shown over the last few decades that collective love and compassion have greater effects on these physical devices than collective fear. Looking at social metrics, do we see evidence of an increased care, compassion, and resilience in society over time? And a future network of tree monitors giving voice to nature by exploring if the electrical potentials of trees respond to mass coherence building events. These sensor networks are being observed to correlate with our planetary pulses, and we think these experiments will prove that our coherence, our love and compassion, not just the acts they inspire, but the coherent heart energy itself moves the world. Observing these kinds of global effects requires a synchronized pulse of coherence, and that's where we all come in. So thank you everyone for putting up with that review again, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Marshall. I can't tell if Teresa is back.
She is not back. Thank you, Claudia, for that. It's always good to touch into the science that's underneath the reality of what this pulse is about, what creating coherence in ourselves is about, how we're connected to that field, and how this is a true and actual experience, not only in ourselves, but in our noosphere, our human sphere on the planet and with the planet. So thank you always for sharing that, and thank you for all you've done over these years to bring that into reality for us. It's a great gift. And our beloved Teresa's internet has dropped, so I am now the host of this for the evening. And I think I know the flow pretty well that we're going to do. And we are going to begin with some music with our beloved sister Marya. Marya Stark is a dear friend of mine and Teresa, and many people, many people in the world, who is living in Santa Cruz, where I was living until recently. And I've just always loved Marya's music. Her voice is impeccable. Her muse that comes through in word and song, whether it's poetry and song and music, and the music she plays with her instruments is always so evocative and so sourced from a deep place inside of herself and in a deep place inside of the collective field of consciousness. And I'm just thrilled you're with us today, Marya, to bring the muse in to this journey. And I welcome you to start off with whatever your heart's muse is ready to bring forth today. You need to unmute.
Thank you so much, Marshall. It's so fun to be here with both you and Teresa. I love you all so much. And hello, beautiful global family, as a part of this heart coherence journey, I offer this song called Witness, which is a communion with the song of the sky, with the harp of heaven, and the geometry of the eternal universe raining down its glory upon our precious minds as we gaze up in wonder about the divine harmony of life.
Party happens within us.
Had a little visit from the star people. They said, hey. She's calling us out. Bye, guys. I have become a witness to the stars, forming the shape of the instrument of the gods. And I've seen their sound rain down from the sky's gentle heart as their song sings of miracles unfolding. I've become a witness to love awakening from out of the silence and into the sound. I've seen the footsteps of angels dancing as they weave prayer into miracles unfolding. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the, sing it with me where you are. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. Become a witness to the stars, forming the shape of the instrument of the gods. I see their sound rain down from the sky as their song sings. You are a miracle, a miracle unfolding. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle. We are the miracle of love unfolding. We are the miracle. We are the miracle.
Wow. See why we invited Marya today? Wow. Chills all over my whole body on that.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Marya. I'm back, Marshall, so I'm just going to take a minute to introduce you. Thanks for taking over the hosting for a minute. Yeah, I just like all of a sudden, it just like, boom, I was gone. Yeah. So I'm really happy to introduce Marshall Lefferts to you today. We are longtime friends and beloveds, and Marshall and I have traveled this journey of resonance and presence and coherence and the science and the embodiment together for over 2 decades, starting with Barbara Marx Hubbard and working with Gene Keys and with the Resonance Science Foundation. And he's been a part of Buckminster Fuller Institute, really just a renaissance man. And he's also a musician, which I think that's such an important part of the balance for you, Marshall, between your ability to integrate the science.
I think I might need to take it from there. Okay, looks like Teresa has maybe dropped her internet again. So yes, thank you, Teresa, for almost getting through that introduction. Teresa and I have, as she said, for 21 years been on this journey and had the pleasure of working with Barbara Hubbard for 5 years. And like she said, I worked with the Buckminster Fuller Institute. Looks like she's coming back on. You're back, T?
Yeah, I am. I want to make sure.
Good. Well, I think we got the gist of it. You were talking about my music background, which is a big piece of what I have learned in life that has informed much of what I'm going to share today, actually, as you'll see.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're here, Marshall, and I love you so much. And I know by the end of this session today, everybody's going to love you too. So thank you for being here and for sharing what you're going to share.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Man, what times we're in. And here on the East Coast, we had the tropical storm come in and take out the power for many days during the week. And luckily I got it back where I am. And we're all just basically going through all sorts of things. And so it's very important and very special to be able to come together and gather like this. And I'm also really thrilled today because the trailer for Thrive 2, the film that's coming out in September, the trailer was released today. I think Teresa will talk about that more later. And I've been integrally involved in the creation of the film. And it's just exciting, really exciting to get the trailer out and get a little taste of what's to come with the film. So check it out. You can check it out at thriveon.com. And it was great to listen to Greg this morning and hear what he had to say. That was very, very powerful information about the cycles that we're in and how we can see a bigger picture about kind of the nature of the dynamics that we're experiencing and processing. And as Greg was saying, you know, clearly we are in really a most profound period of uncertainty that is affecting everyone in the world in many ways. The human family is facing our most challenging moment in recorded history, I would say, not only physically with the virus event and with the impacts of a changing climate, but as well societally and economically and environmentally and spiritually, really on all fronts. I think it's coming up for us. And I really feel like we're at a crossroads and faced with a test, the outcome of which will determine the journey ahead for generations to come. One of my great teachers, as was mentioned, Buckminster Fuller, referred to this test as humanity's final exam. We are in our final exam, adding that we are in a touch and go relay race towards utopia or oblivion, and that it is up to each individual to choose to live in integrity, honesty, justice, and peace, and move towards utopia, or perpetuate a path of lying, corruption, greed, domination, and war that is so prominent in the world, and lead towards inevitable oblivion. It's our choice, each one of us, and it's a shared choice for all of us. The final exam is upon us, and it's time to choose which road to travel on once and for all. So what is the basis for making this choice, and what principles may guide us? So I'd like to share a little bit about today. So at this time in our shared journey on this tiny planet we're on, the feedback that we're getting in the world is all but screaming at us that our perceptions and actions, our worldviews, are in dire need of self-reflection and evaluation. Environmental, social, and economic collapse is increasingly imminent, even while scientific and technological innovation is growing at an unprecedentedly rapid pace. We're certainly not lacking in the potential for innovation and change, and yet we continue to be faced with crises of great magnitude that appear insurmountable. Perhaps it's not the doing that is causing this fundamental conflict in our experience, but rather the place from which the doing is being generated. The worldview that is driving the doing and the consequences that fall out from it, that have become critical to all life on Earth. So the fundamental questions underlying our predicament, I feel, are how can we create circumstances that support the thriving of life for all, human, plant, animal, and planet alike? And upon what worldview would we base the pursuit of such circumstances? Could it be that there's a greater field of perception even beyond our cultural worldviews that can provide us the necessary feedback to inform our path towards balance, wholeness, and healthy relationships with each other, the Earth, and the cosmos? And so the answer to this last question is, fortunately, of course there is. It would be so foolhardy if the grand cosmic scheme didn't include a clear basis upon which we could achieve such vital goals, even if it's just in the nick of time, which it seems to be right now. The cosmos as we know it has existed for billions of years. The Earth, Sun, solar system, and beyond have moved in continuous harmonic relationship through to this very moment, and from what's indicated by past experience will likely continue to do so tomorrow and the next day for a long time to come. The cosmos is thriving. We are literally living in a greater field of healthy, balanced, and self-sustaining systems that provide us with a constant feedback loop of how it's done. The critical challenges we face are not a consequence of the collapse of the cosmos. They are much smaller and more local than that. They are a consequence of the human field of perception, belief, and action being based upon a limited view of reality that has become at odds with cosmic wholeness, balance, and harmony. Thriving is inherent in the way of the cosmos, not an illusion of wishful thinking. It is achievable because it is inherent. And our role is to recognize the patterns, the processes, and the principles upon which the greater field of reality we are in achieves it, and base our perceptions, beliefs, and actions upon them so as to come into alignment and harmony with the inherent dynamics of life thriving in the cosmos. The key word here is harmony. Our great opportunity and even requirement, we might say, is to come into harmony with the cosmos. And while this may sound lofty and attainable only by enlightened spiritual masters, it is in fact a very pragmatic option at this time. What has generally been held as a remote spiritual ideal, cosmic consciousness, is in the process of becoming normalized in our human perceptual framework, our worldview. The conscious awareness of cosmic phenomenon is emerging in the general field of human awareness, whether it's through scientific and technological advancement, like seeing Hubble images of the vastness of the cosmos, or through meditation or psychedelic experiences, or through immersive contemplation of nature's patterns and processes. We are rapidly awakening to a much greater understanding of the fundamental field of the cosmos than ever before. And with this understanding comes the opportunity to harmonize our technologies, our social systems, our health modalities, education, governance, our environment, all aspects of our life on Earth and beyond with the same cosmic dynamics that have succeeded in getting us to this point over the course of billions of years. By all reckoning, it appears that pursuing the path of harmonization with the cosmos is the most important choice humanity can make at this time. For not doing so certainly leads us towards the cliff we're not prepared to jump off of with much hope of surviving. Fortunately for us, the cosmos has made it pretty obvious how to do this and given us all the clues, signs, and instructions we need to enact this choice. By doing so, it is clear that we can quite readily achieve a state of harmony that will provide a solid foundation for many generations to come to create and live in a healthy, balanced, and thriving world. So what is the scientific basis for coming into harmony with the cosmos? I want to switch into a little visual presentation for this part of what I want to share. I'll just get that set up. So I call this talk Causing Harmony, because I think fundamentally that's what we need to do. We need to cause harmony to come into the world. And it is, of course, all about creating coherence. So where do we see coherence in our lives? Well, we see it throughout nature. Nature is just filled with patterns that are repeating throughout it, that we can see and are beginning to understand more of the dynamics of how they are created, how they are interacting, and how they are evolving, and then come into a relationship with the same patterns. So here we see fractal patterns of lightning and the veins of leaves and the tributaries of a river, all showing the same pattern, just like we actually have in our own cardiovascular system. And we talk so much about coming into coherence in our bodies, and you can see this is the same dynamic that nature is using throughout. And as we look throughout nature in all of its forms, we see these gorgeous patterns. We see beautiful symmetries. We see symmetries of color and dynamic complements of shape, color, pattern throughout nature. And some of these patterns we can see are very common to many different species of animals and plants, like this kind of basket weave on this fish. It's just the same as we can see here on this beautiful green boa snake. And we see the same pattern in flowers with this beautiful double spiral of a sunflower. And again here, in this broccoli plant that probably everybody is familiar with. It's just like the poster child for fractal spiraling patterns in nature. And in many forms, in the cactus, pine cones and acorns, in the spruce trees and pineapples, we see the same pattern repeated through and through. Here in the fluid dynamics of water, and also in air and in the atmosphere with hurricanes, and all the way up into the greater scale of the cosmos in the galaxies, the same pattern is repeating throughout. And it's these patterns that really inform us about what is actually happening and how we can come into alignment with these dynamics. Here is actually showing a ring magnet with a ferrocell that shows the magnetic field itself around the ring magnet, again showing the exact same spiraling, double spiraling vortex patterns that we saw throughout nature. And that gives us a clue of how nature is actually organizing into these coherent systems. Even in our own biology and consciousness, that the way that this pattern comes through in our perception of the field and as the field, as a human being. We can see the same pattern. If you look closely, you can see how beautifully contoured the patterns of our curvature of the bridge of our nose, the eyelids, the eyebrow, all follow this exact same pattern. It's quite remarkable, actually, when we start to see the commonality of all this. And this, just as an example, is based on a very familiar ratio called the golden ratio. It's found throughout nature, and there's different ways of deriving this golden spiral and creating a vortex pattern and ultimately creating a what I call a blueprint of the whole phi ratio dynamics that we can find throughout nature. And we can see there's actually, down the center of that is an angle that's created from this blueprint. It looks like this, and it's called the Phi Scaling Angle. And it is actually also found throughout nature, even in our hands when we come into prayer and namaste. We are actually evoking this beautiful harmonic symmetry that is right here in our own body system. And we see it actually in the trees quite prevalent. Trees are really a reflection of the dynamics that are underlying the processes, the flow processes that we saw at all scales with those vortexes. It's the same actual vortex function that creates a torus, as this is called, and in the case of a tree, a double torus, where we have the canopy and the roots interacting in this flow dynamic together. And when we look right down at the core of what is inside that torus pattern, that torus flow, we see something that looks very much like the trunk of a tree. And in fact, the trunk of a tree is the core of a torus dynamic pattern. And you can see that same angle is present. Here's a better picture to show it with a redwood tree that shows the same kind of basket weave pattern. And that same angle we saw in the blueprint is present there. And again, here on the beach, you can see a little basket weave where the water comes up, comes onto the shore, pulls back out, and leaves this beautiful pattern on the beach. In fact, it's the exact same harmonic pattern, that ratio from the golden ratio angle. And here's the water, the surface of the ocean. We kind of think, well, it's waves, it's probably kind of random and it's moving the way it does. Well, in fact, it actually is organizing with the same coherence as we just saw in the other patterns, just like the tree, just like the sand. The water, the tree, the sand are all organizing. Here we see more shapes that have the same angle in them. Shells, the spruce tree and its branches, all fractally scaling that way. Even our human torso, our human body, is actually, you can see here in this illustration showing the rib cage and the femurs, having the same angle. You can see now there's a commonality to the dynamics of how energy and matter is cohering into form. And these patterns exist throughout all of nature. These beautiful geometries that are very simple. We can see, for instance, the triangle in the radiolarian at the very tiny scale, the square on the little cube of salt, the pentagon in the flowers, the hexagon in the snowflake, the dandelion's radials, the seashell's radials, the rings on water, and the spirals of the shell and the sunflower. All are energy dynamics that are very coherent. Even with the basic, simple blueprint that we created to map out how this ratio is organizing, we can see that it actually also illustrates some aspects of the ratio as it's seen in nature, with this acorn here. And I love this one with the pomegranate, which remarkably is pretty much exactly following that same spiral relationship of our basic blueprint. So beautiful. This is something that Greg Braden talked about this morning as well. And this is showing cymatics, which, as he described, is when you take a sound impulse and vibrate a liquid medium, in this case, a very small container of water, maybe a ½ inch across. And at a certain frequency, we get dynamics that become very coherent and very geometric. In this case, showing this pentagonal symmetry created solely by the vibrations of sound, the water moving, coming into this coordinated, coherent geometry. and the light reflecting off of the water to show the pattern. Now, these are some still images that show some very interesting geometric relationships of how sound is organizing into these patterns that look very much like certain kinds of patterns and geometries we might find in nature. This one here is, again, this is a snapshot of a vibrating system, an acoustical system, that in this case looks extremely similar, remarkably so, to that of this tomato. And so you can start to see that there's a relationship between the vibratory system of the acoustic impulse of sound and the electromagnetic relationships of light and the form and geometry that it creates. Here we have a pentagonal cymatic pattern, and in the pentagon we have these different scales of that phi ratio, that golden ratio, that are all coordinating to create this beautiful symmetry. There are 4 levels of that ratio in this one pattern right here. And then around the outside as well, into one coherent geometric relationship. Now this is, of course, what we find in many, many flowers. And this one is always amusing and kind of evokes an interesting possibility of, maybe we all as well are actually being created from the same dynamic impulses that are literally causing form to come into shape and proportion from the impulses of sound and light throughout the cosmos. And this one here, I just love this correlation here. We see again, a small little dish with, in this case, a little glitter in the water that is spiraling in these toruses, this coherent dynamic spiraling vortex pattern here. And this is actually what you see when you cut a watermelon in half. You see the exact same spiraling vortices as was created in that cymatic. And so again, this is to show how nature is actually being informed by these impulses, these vibrations, these frequencies of sound and light to come into form. And of course, all of nature is that, and we are that as well. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about how this science and how this relates to this idea of causing harmony and bringing ourselves into harmony with the cosmos. So in the unified physics model, which is very much based on Nassim Haramein's work, who I've a colleague with for many years, all matter and energy is interconnected and in and as a universal field of information. And that information is the patterns of electromagnetic and acoustic vibration that literally inform or bring into form the hologram we call physical reality, just as we saw. Energy, matter, and information are one and the same, which means that light, sound, and consciousness are one and the same. That's the view I hold. There's only really one thing going on here. And at the very foundation of this universal field is a state of near perfect equilibrium, wherein all of the fluctuations of energy come into unison and resolve to zero. And this is what Buckminster Fuller identified geometrically and called the isotropic vector matrix. It's the geometry of perfect equilibrium, the 0 point. We can think of this as the ultimate underlying state of coherence that is always present throughout the cosmos. Cosmos is always in a coherent state, even when it's in dynamic fluctuation. Underlying it is coherence. And it's like the coherent laser light that is required when making a holographic image. And I propose that this 0 point field is itself an absolute hologram of universal information, wherein the information of the entire universe is present at every point. And within this coherent 0 point field arise localized expressions of this equilibrium, that which we experience and observe as ourselves and nature, our world, the solar system, the galaxy, and the whole universe, fractally embedded in these coherent patterns, these processes of flow and dynamics. These are dynamic expressions of energy, matter, and information that stabilize into form across all scales, coherent structures or local holograms that are in a dynamic feedback loop with the underlying universal hologram. The great physicist and another great teacher in my understanding is David Bohm. He referred to this dynamic as undivided wholeness in flowing movement, with the underlying implicate order and the observable explicate order in continuous reciprocal relation, a feedback loop of information exchange. And Bohm often referred to the acoustical system of music as the most evident example of this implicate, explicate, reciprocal exchange. Now, music is not something that we humans invented. It's a phenomenon that already exists in the universe that we discovered. And we can invent with music, but we did not invent music. In the quantum realm, across all the scales, the cosmic field of energy and matter is most fundamentally like a vast ocean of vibrations. And these vibrations are constantly interacting, forming intersecting wave dynamics and standing wave patterns across the entire cosmos based upon frequency and resonance relationships. And what is the organizing framework for these relationships? It's probably evident at this point. The harmonic system we call music. Music is really foundational to how the entire universal system is organizing in coherent ratios, forms, and harmonic relationships. The Nobel laureate physicist Frank Wilczek says that atomic structures behave like perfect musical instruments, even more perfect than the instruments that we can create. They are so finely tuned and coherent and geometric that they are all completely matched and harmonized together. Solar systems organized in coherent, musically harmonic proportions of planetary orbital spacing and cycles. This is increasingly being found to be true. And the many cycles of activity in our bodies, our heartbeat, our brainwave frequencies, organ functions, every cell, DNA molecules, all the atoms, all operate with a coordinated integrity that is optimally synchronized in a complex yet harmonious rhythmic coherence. This is why the heart coherence is so important, because the heart, as has been shown through the heart math work, is really the master conductor of the cohering of all those frequencies and the complexity of that rhythmic exchange across all these scales. And this is all true throughout nature and the cosmos. We live in an ever-present field of coherent rhythmic and harmonic beauty and integrity. The scientific study of this rhythmic and harmonic integrity that literally informs nature, earth, humans, and cosmos is called harmonic science. And it's kind of like being given the keys to the kingdom. And the kingdom being the world, a world that we can create in harmonic integrity because we understand this harmonic science. And through the knowledge of unified physics and harmonic science and application of this knowledge in resonance-based technologies, the human family has the great opportunity to bring ourselves back into alignment with the already present coherence of nature and the cosmos. Now, a great example of how this can be is based on this study by two researchers from the Netherlands named Dirk Meijer and Hans Giesink, who identified through a meta-analysis of over 500 scientific papers dating from the 1950s to the present, what they call an algorithm for coherent life processes that produces a set of frequencies spanning 127 octaves of electromagnetic and acoustic waves that are found to be life-sustaining. So this graph here shows the green points that are data points from all these papers from 70 years, showing what frequencies have been studied to be beneficial to biological systems, to cell health, and which ones in the red are detrimental. So this is an incredibly important guide to understanding the impacts of the frequencies that we are using in our world. For example, with the cellular and the 5G and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, the electromagnetic frequencies that are permeating everywhere are not necessarily harmonious. They're not necessarily beneficial to us. As a matter of fact, there's quite a lot of studies saying they're truly detrimental. And I know there are many people who feel and have had very, very difficult times with electromagnetic toxicity from frequencies. So you can see how we could actually take that data set, take that knowledge of what frequencies are beneficial, and apply it into tuning our electromagnetic devices so that the frequencies they use are actually beneficial to our biological systems. And what a change that would be in the world, just that alone. I actually pulled this from Greg's presentation this morning, did a quick little screen grab, because he was talking about this 0.1 ratio relationship, and I don't remember what it was between, but how we have that same relationship in our heart rate variability that is directly tied to what is present with the earth and the sun and the magnetic field of the earth, and how when we bring ourselves into that state, we are literally tuning ourselves with that natural frequency dynamic in the magnetic field of the earth. And I just loved that example right there. So as we engender coherence in our environment, societies, our bodies, hearts and minds through resonance-based restoration of harmonic integrity, the collective field of consciousness will make a profound shift into coherence at a new level of shared experience. This is what I call consciously making the shift from causing harm to causing harmony. And for this portion, because I'm going to speak more on the bigger picture of this a little later, I just want to end with this quote from Henry Miller, who says, "The world is not to be put in order. The world is order incarnate. It is up to us to put ourselves in unison with this order." So with that, I'm going to turn off my screen share, and I'm going to share more about the sort of the bigger picture implications of this a little later in our session here. Just wanted to break it up a little bit, bring in some more music, do a meditation, and then kind of bump it out to a bigger picture of really what this would mean for the future as we consider what causing harmony in the world might look like. So I'll leave it at that for the moment.
Beautiful, Marshall. I love that, from causing harm to causing harmony. I mean, I think just that meme is so powerful. And
I agree.
yeah, that's the answer. Thank you. Marya, we get to spend a little time with your beautiful voice and getting us ready for the meditation. And so everybody just kind of settle in and really connecting with your hearts as Marya brings us into a deeper state of harmony. Thank you.
Yeah, reflecting on everything that was shared is some of my favorite stuff to absorb. And I'm just in such a space of that awe and wonder, looking at the harmonic occurrences that are happening all the time. We truly live in a very friendly universe. And sometimes when there's electromagnetic waves that are causing disruption, that are permeating the grid, it's those times when recalling that and finding practices to ground ourselves in calibrating our own nervous systems to harmony again. And one of my favorite ways to do that is through my own voice. The voice is so powerful. It's connected to a bundle of nerves that right at the throat and at the sound box connects to our entire nervous system. And when we use our voice in a way to connect to our nervous system, we can actually very quickly bring ourselves from a state of imbalance and anxiety, agitation in our heart rhythm, into a space of more coherence and groundedness and balance. It's one of these great gifts, this original medicine right in our very throat. Our bodies, such beautiful instruments of harmony, and there's no time like the present to continue to finely tune our instrument to be able to call through the music of the harmony around us. So I'd love to invite us in a short invitation to just take a deep breath in. I'm going to just do a few, what I like to call with my brother Elijah in our vocal work that we do, toning home. And so we're going to call 3 tones right to the center of our heart and allowing the sound of our own unique soul frequency to drop our spirit all the way in. All the way in. So just taking it, your hand, bringing it right up above your heart. And see if you can feel your sound of your own voice vibrate your heart as you call yourself home. We'll just do this together. Deep breath in. The second tone home, see if we can vibrate our heart even more. We'll feel into the back of our heart as well. See how much space can we make for the sound of our own voice to fill up our beautiful heart and the sphere of our electromagnetic field. And taking that deep breath in together. And one more time, and we'll feel like this last tone will sound a beautiful harmonic to every cell of our being, as if each cell of our being had its own unique spin, its own electromagnetic field that, in combination with other cells of coherence, started to vibrate, becoming brighter and brighter, glowing, activated through the sound of our voice, bringing these islands of coherence within our own cellular structure together in harmony with our voice. I'm taking a deep breath in. Just letting your voice nourish your system. I'd love to share this song in light of the sacred geometry that we're witnessing, to call in the language of light into our body, to come and harmonize with the magnificent prosperity energy that is available all around us and generating from within. This is called Prosperity Codex. Ruby light at the root of my tongue, opening song lines sung from the mother of the sapphire light in the seed of my heart. Timelines healing, codes revealing an amethyst light in the crest of my eyes. Violet flame burns bright with the wise and emerald light in the palm of my hands, flowing forth to restore these lands in the citrine light in the sun of my hearth. Amber warming star seeds forming the bones of my spine. Rivers rising, bliss igniting, ruby light at the root of my tongue. Opening song line sung from the mother of the sapphire light at the seat of my heart. Timelines healing, codes revealing, and amethyst light in the crest of my eyes. Violet flame burns bright with the wise and emerald light in the palm of my hands. Flowing forth to restore these lands in the citrine light in the sun of my hearth. Amber warming star seeds forming in diamond light in the bones of my spine. Rivers rising, bliss igniting, ruby light at the root of my tongue. Opening song line sung from the mother of the sapphire light, the seed of my heart. Timelines healing, codes revealing, and amethyst light, the crest of my eyes. Violet flame burns bright with the wise and emerald light in the palm of my hands. Flowing forth to restore these lands in the citrine light in the sun of my heart. Amber warming star seeds forming in diamond light in the bones of my spine. Rivers rising, bliss igniting, ruby light at the root of my tongue. Opening song line sung. From the mother of the one. Thank you.
Mm. So beautiful, Marya. Thank you. I put some links in the chat for Marya. I want you guys to go after this session and first of all, check out her website. It's one of the most beautiful websites, Marya, that I have seen in a really long time. I spent some time on it today. It's absolutely gorgeous. And there's so much to explore on it. Like I felt like I kind of entered into like Marya land and I just got like this rich, rich thing. And also I put a link in the chat too that her and Elijah Ray are doing another one of their vocal resonance courses. And I got the opportunity to do that for your last one. And it was so powerful in that, just that little practice of toning home and really opening up this vessel. As Greg even said this morning, like we're going to find out that this human body that we have is one of the most important instruments that we have in our evolutionary moment that we're in. So definitely, I'll put another link again for all of you in there. But Marya, your just your voice and your presence and what you have to offer is really so precious and important right now. So thank you. And we're going to hear from Marya one more time again before we go today. So stay with us. Yes. Beautiful. So Marshall, I think you're going to take us on a little bit of a journey, our pulse meditation, which Marya just set us up so beautifully for. And we look forward to you guiding us in taking this energy that we've been cultivating and sending it out into the world in a good way today.
Thank you. Yeah, that was so beautiful, Marya. Prosperity Codex. It's just perfect because that's really what we're talking about here. The true nature of the cosmos, and I'll speak to this more a little bit later, but is just filled with prosperity, filled with abundance. And we've kind of forgotten that a little bit but we are coming back into that recognition. So it was a perfect song for this session tonight. So yeah, I want to, there we go, should be hearing a little music now.
Yeah, it's coming through fine.
Great. We'll bring us into our meditation as we've been doing today, throughout this whole month. We're going to do it, and really every day, bringing ourselves into a coherent state of being is one of the keys to navigating the times we're in. Because, you know, every day we're just inundated with information and ideas, images, trying to figure out who and what to listen to and what's true and what's false. And it's becoming just overwhelming. And we need to be able to bring ourselves into a centered, coherent state so we can make sense of ourselves first and foremost and the life around us. As we come into this meditation, I'm going to share a little bit about a practice that I've used for over 40 years. The foundation of this comes from when I studied Aikido in 1978. Aikido is a martial art founded by a man named Marya from Japan. And he created this in the mid-20th century, so it's a somewhat modern martial art, you could say. And it's often called the art of peace. The word Aikido translates as the practice or the way, do, of harmonizing I with the life force, ki. So ki is the life force, I means harmony or harmonizing. Do is the way, the practice, the art of peace. Just such a beautiful martial art, even in the way that it's expressed and physically practiced, but as well as this principle. And the founder of Aikido said about it, Aikido is the way and principle of harmonizing heaven, earth, and man. Practicing the art of Aikido is based upon a simple premise that when we're faced with conflict, that we enter in to meet that conflict, blending with it so as to be able to bring it into control and then redirect it into a neutral condition where it can do no harm to either yourself or anybody else. So Aikido is a practice not of meeting conflict with conflict, but actually blending with it, redirecting it, and bringing it into a state of harmony. This receiving, redirecting, and neutralizing of conflict is exactly what is needed in our world at this time. To meet the challenges we face with compassion, strength, conviction, to receive the energy fully and redirect it into a peaceful, harmonious state. This applies in every situation in life, at all levels of our being. Whether within ourselves, in our close relationships, in our families, in our society, and in relationship to the natural world, the same premise serves all of it. So the meditation I'm going to guide through today is based on a very simple practice I learned when I studied Aikido. And it's based on coordinating our mind and body to become coherent, stable, and empowered while remaining relaxed, centered, and secure. And as we move into the meditation, I want to begin by introducing to those who may not be familiar with the idea and the presence of what are called the three dantian, which are basically points in our body, mind, energy system that are really essential to how we can engender this kind of coherence. And the 3 points are very simple. The first one is found right in the middle of our belly, just below our belly button, right in the center of our body, is what's called the lower dantian. And the dantian is the word that is from Chinese energy practice, Qigong, Tai Chi, Chinese energy medicine. It's very familiar, these three dantian are very fundamental energetic center points. So there's one in the center of our belly, right in the middle of our physical body. Next one, right in the higher heart area, kind of near the heart chakra, near the heart center. Maybe just a little bit higher up. And the third one is right in the middle of our head. I've come to understand these 3 points are actually in that same golden ratio relationship that we saw in the presentation. So we could say it's a fundamental harmonic set of these center points within our energy, consciousness, physical, biological relationship to reality. And as we'll experience in this practice, when we bring our attention to these points, it truly stabilizes us in a very profound way, just through a very simple practice. So let's go into that practice. And there are 4 aspects of it that we're going to do at each of these points. They're very, very, very simple. So if you'd like to just center yourselves, relax, close your eyes. Take a moment for a breath and let it out. Just become in a state of presence, free of all the distractions of all that may be around. The first step in the process is just to relax, to literally just relax your body even more. This is what is taught in Aikido. This is how they do the martial art. Just relax your body. Go through and find where there might be a little more tension and relax it even more. The next step is to let the weight of your body go down to the underside of your arms, the underside of your legs. If you're sitting, the underside of your hips and pelvis, down on the underside of your feet, you can feel gravity just pull you even more down into this relaxed, very grounded state. Being relaxed, letting your weight drop to the underside. And the next step is to bring our attention to the first dantian down in our belly. You may want to put your hand on your belly to bring your awareness down into that point inside your body. And just relax into that point. These dantian to me are like the access points to that 0-point field, that stillness, that universal field of energy. We are constantly in access to that with these points. So just drop your attention into that point in your belly and relax, let your weight drop. When we do this all the way down into this point, we're actually coming way down into our physical body, coming into our physical center. This is quite key to really embody the coherence all the way into our beings. And the fourth step now is, with our awareness on that point, to imagine it turning on like a star, to imagine it radiating energy, life force, light, radiating like a star from that point, coming out your fingers, your arms, your head, your back, your legs, your feet, radiating all out through and beyond your body from that point. It's an inexhaustible source. You can feel sometimes even a tingling from this energy as you let that express freely without any holding back. the energy of this radiance. It is from this point of relaxed, grounded, centered in the one point in the belly at Dantian, and radiating this key energy that the practitioners of Aikido move into their practice. Because when we bring our attention to this point, we become incredibly stable. An Aikido master cannot be moved or even lifted off the ground because they are so deeply rooted in this point that their stability is beyond the ability of 5 strong men to even budge them. It's quite profound. And it's that simple. Now this lower dantian is like a foundational energetic engine. I know in Qigong and Tai Chi and energy medicine, it's really seen as kind of a source core of the energetic connection to the life force. So we're going to keep that radiating, centered, relaxed. Let that engine be strong. Remember, it's inexhaustible. All you have to do is let it radiate. And with that foundation, we're going to bring our attention now up to the point in our higher heart, the middle dantian. Let your awareness center in that area of the upper part of your chest. Very much like we've been doing in our heart coherence practices. It's really the same thing. Again, relaxing completely, letting your breath be nice and slow and even, letting your weight drop down to the lower side, centering your attention in that heart center, dantian, and let it radiate. Let that light turn on. Let that radiance be fully expressed. Again, accessing that infinite field of light, consciousness, life force, all the same thing. Let that radiate like a star. Let it shine like starlight. You can feel that energy just buzzing in a beautiful, clear, calm way. Centering ourselves in this point and letting that radiance be fully expressed stabilizes our emotional body. Our heart's dynamic relationship with our emotions and with our relationships with others, and all that fluctuation, contraction and expansion we can feel when we connect into the center, relax ourselves, and open up that radiant flow. It stabilizes us in a profound way, just like it does on the physical level in the lower dantian. Now with those 2 points lit up, shining beautifully like stars in our beings, we bring our attention up into the center of our head. Right in the middle of the head, an energetic point of centering, right back into that 0 point field. Very essential relationship with our bioenergetic field, these dantian. Once again, with our body relaxed, weight down on the underside, fully grounded, feeling the presence of the lower dantian and the heart shining beautiful radiant light, and our attention and awareness in the middle of our head. We let that light turn on, that starlight, be fully expressed from this dantian in our head. An inexhaustible supply of life force, consciousness, energy. I often feel a clearing of my brain when I do this. Like it's just allowing it to open and let energy flow that I was holding in some way. Holding in thoughts, and ideas that release that kind of a constriction and let it flow freely, permeate into the cosmic field, universal field, our biofield, into the Earth's magnetic field in a coherent, clear, and stable dynamic. And just as we stabilize our physical body and emotional body with the 2 Dantian points, here we stabilize our mental body. We clear our minds of the thoughts that may be pulling us, that may be challenging us, that may be confusing us. We release those. We let this pure radiance just shine. Let all that just dissolve away. And come into a stability in our mental beings, our minds. Now when we look and see, we have 3 beautiful shining stars of light, creating a powerful, relaxed, strong, gentle, pure, energetic centering and stability. All 3 points radiating together. Let it radiate out as far as you can imagine. Fill the cosmos with this energy. I often like to call this feeling here the joy body. This radiance of being in the joy of our being, in our bliss, in our ecstasy, in this very simple, practical way that we can access it at any moment, no matter what we're doing. Letting that radiant joy be freely expressed in a very gentle, beautiful way. And this is, of course, in a complementary relationship with the energy that's coming into us at all times. You can even feel that energy coming into all these center points from the cosmos into these points, all converging to stabilize us in a balanced relationship with the inward and outward flow. The inward flow of love, that attractive, binding, connecting force of the universe, and the radiating presence of joy, being in our joy body. And with this radiance and this coherence, let us infuse the field that we are connected to with gratitude. Gratitude for being alive, for being in these bodies, for being together, for being in this world, for knowing that we are engendering this coherence in the world, and that we are in a constant state of pulsing this coherence from this kind of a simple practice that we can access at any time, coming into heart coherence, mental coherence, emotional, physical coherence. This practice is pure and simple. Always available to us. And from that place of coherent connectedness with the centers in our bodies, let's open our eyes, maintaining the presence of that radiance in the Dantian. And move in our lives from this place of centeredness, coherence, groundedness, relaxation. This is what can enable us to move through these times in a profound stability. And you can practice this wherever you are, anytime. Just drop into those centers and let it radiate. See what happens, see how it feels.
Beautiful, Marshall. Beautiful. We'll get Marya to come in and keep us moving in this direction.
get to take our flight, and I will keep the light on, so you know that I was home. If you hear my voice upon the wind, know I'm singing you a song about them fireflies we're spying on. Yeah, I heard a whisper in your name, telling stories of your heroism and all the magic that you bring. And now they're forming you a path to follow, light and shadows one by one, bringing you back closer to me, baby, so I can hold you in my arms. And I will keep the light on, so you know that I was home. If you hear my voice upon the wind, know I'm singing you a song. I will keep the light on, so you know that I was home. If you hear my voice upon the wind, know I'm singing you a song. Ooh, la la la, you. Ooh, la la la, you. Ooh, la la, you. Ooh, la la, you. Keeping these beautiful hearts lit, shining the light across time to each other, weaving this beautiful tapestry, singing our song of joy. I wonder what might happen if all the beings in all the worlds were free from suffering and without desire, and burst into unstoppable joy. I wonder what might happen if all the stars in all the skies were strung together with a common thread and shone together with a common light, the light of love. I am that I am, that I am love, unstoppable love. I am that I am, that I am light, unfailing. Sing it with me. Unstoppable joy. Unstoppable joy. Unstoppable joy. Unstoppable joy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorite Marya songs ever.
Yay.
Unstoppable Boy. That's a perfect one for Marshall. And I want all of us that's watching, both here on Zoom, we have people watching out on Facebook, we have people on the islands of Coherence Network. Let's all take a moment and send Marshall for that beautiful meditation. Very powerful and deep. And Marya for her beautiful music right now. Let's just send them a bunch of our love right now. Yeah. Field is juicy. Ah, so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Well, we may have time for one more of your songs, Marya, so you just stay with us here. And Marshall, I'm happy to bring you back. I know that you're gonna take us a little bit into what's actually possible if we move from causing harmony to causing harm. And I'm really excited to hear what you have to share.
Thank you. Thanks, Marya. Oh, I just love both those songs. And, you know, Unstoppable Joy is really what it's all about. It's about coming into that place where we're actually living from that state of being and then making the choices that will create the world that we want to create. Because when we're in joy, we make good choices. We're coming from a place that's actually integrated and whole. And that is our true nature. And as we'll see, that's actually the true nature of kind of what's underlying the possibilities we have in our world. And I love that today is this 0808, this Lionsgate portal. The 8 is the octave in music, 8 tones, octave 8. And the entire universal structure, that universal 0-point field is actually structured in the same octave relationship. So it's really kind of like a fundamental resonance right now. If we just like to play with the date of our calendar and look at that and go with it, I love to do that. I think it's super fun, and it brings us into a shared resonant coherence when we do that. And so I'm really honoring this 0808 moment. And also, it pertains to the last section in my book, which is called The Next Octave. And the premise that I'm putting forth there is that we humans are in a moment right before coming into unison at the next octave. And when music is actually moving notes up towards unison, unison is when 2 notes are the same, that's unison. And that right before, as those 2 notes are, one note is approaching the other one, the sound gets really kind of beating and very, not so much chaotic, but very turbulent, let's say. And I think that's what's going on in our world. I think we're actually at that threshold of coming into this unison at the next octave. And what I want to do is actually read some excerpts from that part of my book, because it's more coherent than if I did it off the top of my head to convey these ideas. And so you can find more. This is just part of what's in that part of the book. My book is called Cosmometry. I think there were some posts I saw for it. and explores these ideas that I've shared, the unified physics, the cosmic geometry, the music, how it's all one and the same, how consciousness is one and the same with it. So I'd like to share now this bigger picture of what it would look like to really choose to create harmony in our world. So in a harmonic model of cosmic evolution, it is plausible that there may be literal frequency shifts as the dynamics of energy and consciousness progress from one stage of being to another, from one octave to another. And whether it's influenced by physical dynamics of galactic and solar energies, which are certainly at play, as Greg showed us this morning, or by the presence of higher beings in consciousness guiding the evolution of consciousness, which actually may be both one and the same, these dynamics. It feels evident that just such a shift is at hand and that we're seeing and feeling the effects of dissonance that precedes resonance. The noosphere of magnetic, electrical, and consciousness dynamics may well be experiencing the chaos before the calm as we make the last step in the harmonic progression towards the next octave of life on Earth. It may be that in such an evolutionary progression of consciousness, a next octave of thought, feeling, visionary knowing, intuitive insight, and scientific discovery becomes present in the noosphere as a kind of a visionary's call. And that the inevitable direction is towards this next octave for those that hear the call and live into it. Often described as the ascension of humanity in a spiritual context, such a progression will only be fully realized or made real when it manifests into our physical world and our daily experience. So what might such a next octave reality look like? Are there signs of it present now in consciousness and manifestation such that we can orient ourselves towards the call and engender its full realization? So let's go on a short visioning adventure and see what we can find. So that visionary's call, it sounds something like this. Hey, humanity, you're awakening to cosmic consciousness, intuitively knowing the truth of wholeness, unity, and connectedness of all things, and scientifically understanding this unified wholeness across all disciplines. You're realizing that all energy, matter, consciousness is one phenomenon of vibration and harmonic synchronicity, and discovering the science and technology to monitor, diagnose, manipulate, and harmonize with the unified field of all that is. You now have the opportunity to either live into and create a world in harmony with all that is, or perpetuate the current dissonance that is an expression of the erroneous beliefs, choices, and actions of an earlier phase of your conscious evolution. You have the knowledge, scientific and technological know-how, societal capacity, and spiritual inspiration to engender this process of harmonization with full support of the cosmic plan, which is always and only operating on the same fundamental principles that are the basis of your path to harmony. You're at the threshold of tension just before coming into unison at the next octave. All you need to do to resolve the turbulence you experience at this vibratory threshold is choose to come into resonance with the natural harmonic order. So the first phase of this transition is to stabilize our physical, emotional, and mental states of being through self-mastery practice, such as found in heart coherence, as we've been practicing and will practice all through this month and every day of our lives, and centering ourselves in the 3 Dantian that we just experienced, as well as fully assuming personal accountability within our relationships. We are both autonomous beings and an integral part of the world we live in, an inherent characteristic of existing in a fractally embedded toroidal universe, as we saw earlier. Embodying self-sovereignty and supporting each other to thrive within a coherent societal environment that upholds protection of natural rights of person and property, and eliminates laws that engender authoritarian control by an elite few, as currently dominates our societal structures. This will establish an innate universal morality required to cross the threshold we are presently called to traverse. This is putting the science of love and joy into everyday practice. On the other side of this threshold is a world wherein people, animals, plants, our social systems, and ecosystems are coexisting in balance, wholeness, and integrity. Fundamental features of every healthy living system. And through the ongoing application of cosmomimicry, mimicking these cosmic dynamics, towards the resolution of problems, we humans will take responsibility for our part in the great play and wield our magnificent power with compassion and honesty, finally realizing our role as stewards tending the garden of life in conscious reciprocal relationship. By marrying the intuitive knowing of our indigenous spiritual mind with the logical knowing of modern scientific mind, we will integrate our own being and restore the whole being that is our true nature. Now, scientific realization of the nature of the unified field of energy and consciousness is rapidly establishing a new paradigm of theory and application based upon the simple principles of resonance and harmony. Understanding that all is vibration and oscillation, from cosmological cycles of galaxies and solar systems to the nested rhythmic network of our biological systems and the precise musical harmonics of the finely tuned atoms. We now have the master code in the palm of our hands. And that code is what we call music. Though what we experience as music is but a micro fraction of what the totality of this code holds. The code is also called cosmic geometry, the energetic relationships that define form and fractal manifestation. And putting this musical geometric code into application through unified physics yields results that may at first seem like something beyond science fiction. Yet when the basic principles of fractal, hologramic resonance, and energy matter consciousness as one thing are the foundational framework of logic, it becomes much easier to grasp what is actually occurring in the cosmos and in the applications that mimic the cosmos. Now, one of the most profound facts about the nature of reality that I have learned is this, and that's the protons that make up the nucleus of every atom, and therefore all of the physical matter we can see and are made of. These protons have never been observed to decay. In fact, their estimated half-life, how long it might take for them to decay halfway and then halfway again, their estimated half-life is exponentially longer than the age of the universe. So they are essentially eternal, being made of and tapping directly the energy of the unified field. And so these protons, that which is a prime physical unit of the universe that comprises 99.999% of the mass of the universe, they demonstrate without question that the true nature of reality is utterly vast abundance. It's truly eternal, right at the foundation of the physical universe. So let's do some imagining about the possibilities here. So imagine a world in which the source of our electrical energy is unlimited, clean, free, and safe. And while our current sources of energy are inefficient and limited, engendering a paradigm of scarcity and all that comes with it, new technologies based upon tapping the same unified field from which protons derive their energy to power our world will usher in a paradigm of abundance beyond anything yet imagined. And these technologies already exist and are poised to enter into the electricity generating infrastructure on a global scale. And imagine cars and boats and planes that never need fueling, electrical appliances that don't need plugging in, mobile phones, computers, and tablets that never need recharging, commercial refrigeration and computing infrastructures, which are two of the most energy demanding sectors, that utilize unlimited, clean, and safe energy. Imagine no longer being dependent upon an energy grid that is vulnerable to major storms like we just had here in the Northeast. It caused a lot of damage. Solar activity and acts of war. Instead, having each home, neighborhood, and town supply their own power needs autonomously. Now these, as I said, these technologies exist, and unfortunately they have been suppressed and not been allowed to come into our world. And that's why it's so important that we become aware of this and call it forth, because without it, it's only going to cause more problems as we're experiencing. Now, this change of energy source alone completely transforms the basis upon which we define an economy, shifting from a model of scarcity of energy resources that informs and dictates market prices, distribution, and wealth equality, to a model of abundance wherein all people and industries have equal access to unlimited and clean energy. Every sector of society depends on energy in our modern world. Therefore, the entire economic system will undergo a reformation of economic valuation within and between sectors. Economic and health impacts of energy-related pollution are largely eliminated as well when exhaust from automobiles, trucks, planes, coal and gas power plants, as well as the lethal threat of nuclear waste contamination is no longer present on our planet. And unsightly power lines can be removed, making urban and rural vistas so much more aesthetically pleasing. I so look forward to that. Along with understanding the source of energy and how to tap into these devices, the model of unified physics also defines the source of gravity, making it possible to design new technologies that can manipulate this force and change its behavior from being directed towards the center of Earth to being directed away from Earth. In other words, we now have the knowledge to engineer devices that will levitate. When combined with propulsion derived directly from interaction with the unified field, this is also a fundamental paradigm shift in an essential sector of human need, transportation. Imagine planes that never need fueling, use energy that is clean and harmless, operate silently, lift off and maneuver with ease and precision, maximizing the safety of passengers and cargo and not polluting the environment. That's going to be what the next phase of transportation technology is built upon. And it goes beyond the low orbit planes and other transportation vehicles. Extraterrestrial travel becomes a practical reality, no longer having to burn fossil fuels to thrust our way through the gravitational constraints of the Earth, but rather coming into resonance with gravity and directing its force to lift us outward into interplanetary and eventually interstellar space. So this is what the next octave looks like in energy, transportation, and economic aspects of society at a very high level, of course. Let's continue this visioning with environmental restoration. We saw earlier how switching to abundant and clean energy sources eliminates the vast, highly detrimental pollutants from burning fossil fuels and nuclear fission. Imagine how quickly the skies will clear in Los Angeles, Beijing, Delhi, and everywhere around the planet when these pollutants are no longer being spewed into the atmosphere. We actually just got a glimpse of that during this lockdown phase when there weren't cars in the cities, the air cleared so quickly. It won't take long for the hydrocarbons to be sequestered by plants and oceans once and for all when they're not being constantly renewed by our technologies. Imagine also using resonant frequencies at atomic and subatomic scales, quantum technologies as they're called, to neutralize lethal radiation from nuclear waste and accidents at such sites as Fukushima. Sadly, there are those who say with certainty that such technologies already exist but are not yet allowed to be utilized. Again, simply because once they're known by the mass public, the entire paradigm of science, and therefore economics and power dominance changes. Imagine also frequency and resonance-based technologies that restore wholeness to natural ecosystems such as oceans and rivers, as well as agricultural environments. At the source of every elemental manifestation, such as water, for example, lies a blueprint of wholeness that is in resonance with cosmic geometry and harmonic integrity. Water ecosystems that are polluted with chemicals and plastics and biological waste, etc., have a distorted blueprint that compromises the integrity of the ecosystem's functioning, inhibiting effective natural processes and negatively impacting the health of plant, fish, and animal species in general. Understanding that energy, matter, and information are one thing, it is possible through resonance with the field to reintroduce the appropriate information at the quantum level that will restore the original blueprint of water in an entire ecosystem and thus restore the innate wholeness and integrity of the ecosystem. And being an effect of information rather than matter, the restoration process becomes rapidly shared throughout the quantum field through harmonic resonance, and the effects of balance and wholeness being restored can be seen almost immediately. With the application of such quantum technologies, we can foresee a day when all of Earth's water systems are restored to a pristine and healthy state, as long as we also stop introducing the pollutants that cause the imbalances in the first place. And the same holds true for terrestrial ecosystems and agricultural environments. When water, air, and earth are restored to a state of innate wholeness in their quantum atomic molecular information blueprint through harmonic resonance with cosmic geometry, life will thrive and disease will be minimized, allowing for these ecosystems and environments to become the healthy living systems they originally were. And the same holds true for us humans. We too have an original blueprint at every level of our biological systems that has been compromised by pollutants and toxins of all kinds, be they industrial, agricultural, pharmaceutical chemicals, electromagnetic radiation, mental and emotional stresses, natural toxins. The same principle applies. Restore the information blueprint, the original hologram, and wholeness will be restored to our DNA, cells, tissues, organs, our nerves, our hormones, etc. And while such technologies that can establish this hologramic restoration may sound beyond our wildest dreams, they're actually at our fingertips. By simple application of cosmomimicry, utilizing harmonic resonance, Phi ratio damping, geometric integrity, rhythmic synchronization, and unified physics principles, we can and will rapidly make our technologies become clean, efficient, quiet, minimally polluting, and even therapeutically beneficial when tuned to the algorithm of life frequencies that we saw earlier. So how can we engage in this process right now in our daily lives, attending to the mundane demands of life while engaging in the exquisite possibilities at hand? First and foremost is to remember and really take in and embody that we are the unified field become manifest in this human experience. Being hologramic and universally entangled, our consciousness and the greater field of consciousness are intimately reciprocating an exchange of information in the form of thoughts, emotions, words, and deeds, and the external feedback that comes back to us from the reality around us. And so what are we putting into the field? Are we introducing turbulence, dissonance, stress? Or are we contributing to engendering coherence in the noosphere? We know what we're all doing. Each of our relationships and the world around us is a sacred mirror offering a reflection in an ongoing feedback loop of consciousness. While there is much about the current state of the world that we may feel is not a reflection of who we personally are, it is a reflection of the noosphere, the collective field of consciousness in which we live and into which we informed the whole with our presence. And in the spirit of Aikido, we have the opportunity to blend with current reality and redirect it towards a state of harmony and peace in every moment. By centering ourselves in the Dantian, the 1 points in our belly, heart, and head. We establish a coherent stability that says to the neurosphere, I've got this. I'm a conscious agent of coherence on behalf of realizing the resonant unison that is our destination and destiny at the next octave of human civilization. I'm a tuning fork emanating beneficial frequencies, canceling out detrimental ones, and inspiring those who can feel the clear tones in their soul to resonate with me and with the cosmic field and restore the natural blueprint within the hologram of human consciousness present now. By using our imaginations to pretend a vision of our future, we catch a glimpse of the beauty and wholeness to come, and then intend our choices to call forth this vision into form, and attend to do our part as co-creators of ever-emerging reality. We have both the opportunity and responsibility to do so, for once we've peered through the veil of contrived human systems and see the vast potential of cosmic harmonization, there's really no turning away and heading back into our TV-infused and highly confused world and returning to unconscious complacency. We are truly at the threshold of choice. Rush headlong into catastrophe from irresponsible implementation of ever-growing technological capacity, or embrace the full import of the opportunity we have to harmonize with life on Earth and in the cosmos and move deliberately and responsibly towards manifesting the next octave of resonant technologies based upon harmonic integrity, with full conviction that doing so assures success. This is making the conscious shift from causing harm to causing harmony. That is our choice at this time. And I'm going to end with this beautiful quote from the Islands of Coherence website, which says, "Coherence is our natural state when we are in a harmonious relationship with life. It's time to claim it, cultivate it, celebrate it, and pulse the planet with it together." So let us do that now. Let us do that after we leave this webinar. Let us do that in the morning, in the day, in the evening, every day to come, because this is truly our true nature. Joyful abundance, unstoppable joy. Choosing harmony and harmonization as the path forward, because that is the true one that is going to lead us exactly to where we want to go. And we know the science, we have the technology, and we have the compassionate will and spirit to do so. But thank you for going on that journey with me, imagining and pretending our future in a harmonious relationship with each other and with all life on the planet.
So beautiful, Marshall. I think the fact that you could actually imagine that, knowing what you know about what's possible, right, really gives us so much hope. And I want to take this moment for you to say something about the Thrive trailer, and I'm going to put a link to it in the chat because it just launched today and you've been working on it. And I was thinking about it the whole time that you were reading that, because so much about what we're going to experience through that Thrive film is that this is really possible. Everything that you said, everything that you read there, everything that you imagine there is really right at our fingertips. So I wonder if you want to just say something about the Thrive movie that's coming out as part of your closing comments today. And
Sure, I'd love to. For those who may not be familiar with Thrive, Thrive 1 is a documentary that came out in 2011, and you can watch that for free at thrivemovement.com, or just go to thriveon.com now, our new website. You can link to that first film. And it really posed the question, what on earth will it take to create a thriving world? And looked at some of the core information I presented today, and I'm not going to go into try to describe that film, but since that came out, Foster and Kimberly Gamble, who are the filmmakers and dear friends of ours, were contacted by people from all over the world with ideas and concepts and inventions, and in some cases, actual created technologies and modalities for beneficial healing of our bodies, all using resonance, frequency, vibration, the same harmonic dynamics that we're talking about here. Because that's actually really what's going on. And having done a lot of travel and vetting and seeing what was real and what was actually really viable, they got so inspired by the possibility of what is at hand and our understanding of the unified field and what that means, just like Greg talked about this morning as well. With that knowledge, it changes the entire paradigm of our understanding of what's possible. And the good news is that not only that understanding is present, and with the unified science, unified physics, we are deepening it from a very technical aspect, we could say. But so many of the technologies that are needed in order to make the shift that we just imagined, they already exist. They're already here. They're ready to be brought into the world. And we need to know that, because we're not being told that by our mainstream media, by the ones who are kind of driving a story and an agenda that is very conflicted. I think we can all say that, see that pretty obviously. There's lots of contradiction going on in the world, and it's all based on a paradigm that is quite dysfunctional, quite fragmented. And we're looking now how we can actually shift that perspective and come to understand the greater reality that is the true nature of our reality. And so Thrive 2 is the film that we are just finished creating. It's in the final little steps right now. And it's coming out on September 26th. Now, I've been good friends with Foster and Kimberly, Teresa and I have, for a long time. And Foster has worked with Nassim Haramein for many years. I've worked with Nassim for 20 years. And Nassim and Foster worked on their theories based on the geometry and the physics for many years, even before that. And Foster and I have envisioned for many years the ability to be able to put a lot of the concepts of the geometry and the nature of the unified field and the dynamics into 3D graphics and animations. And we're super excited to have been able to do that for this film and work together on that. So you'll see a little taste of that when you look at the trailer, but there's some really cool stuff to come. And the film itself is really going to offer a very profound view into what is truly possible for our world at this time. And we just need to know it and choose it. So I'm so grateful. I'm so happy it came out today. Good timing. And I'll just close by thanking you, Teresa and Claudia, and Penny, and Alexi, Ian, and Marya for coming in and bringing your beauty into this space, your resonance. And everybody that's been with us today and is going to be with us through this journey all over the world. We know this is our true nature, our true birthright, and we're choosing it. That's what we're here to do.
We're choosing it, that's for sure. Thank you, Marshall. Beautiful sharing today. Really, I think everybody can really feel the just kind of authenticness of your heart and your real commitment to this, and you are choosing it every day. And Marya, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here, your beautiful presence. I'm going to put her links in again, but I just wanted to see if you had some closing words you wanted to offer and share about anything that you might be doing that people would want to know about.
Thank you so much. It's been such a joy to be here with this conversation and community and intention during this magical portal, and just to feel into the power of coherence as a remedy for the times and for a way to be committed and connected to the great prayer that is found in all corners of the universe. And I'm so excited to take this prayer into vocal core resonance, the complete experience, which is a 7-week journey that's dedicated to getting into our voice, this instrument, as a tool for coming into heart-centered leadership, coherence, establishing a daily connection to that harmonic range and bringing it to life every day throughout the day with our voice, especially as we're negotiating and navigating with the many threads of narratives that are vying for our attention. How can we use our voice as a way to anchor our presence in our body, so that that which we want to take real estate in our imagination thrives through the nourishment of our voice, watering it with our prayers and intentions. So this is what me and my brother Elijah Ray have been up to, creating a space, a beautiful coherent pod for us to play with the voice as a way to have relaxation and pleasure and connection, and really fine-tune this instrument of creation and be in communion with creation in a new, beautiful, and enhanced way. So we invite you to come play with us in Vocal Core Resonance. We start tomorrow. It's going to be Sundays at 3:33 Pacific. There's recordings available. There's a whole library of magic available. No need to review all of the library before our class tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a wonderful orientation to the core practice, and we're going to have fun filling it in for the next 7 weeks. So I hope some of you come and join us, come sing with us, come raise your voice towards this great prayer of coherence and heart-centered beauty. And I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marya. Claudia, I wondered if you wanted to come on and say a few words before we close up. I have put some links in the chat here. We have a community integration session happening afterwards, just on Zoom, and I put a link, so if you feel like you want to connect with a few people just to integrate before you head off, please do that. And I also put a link in for anyone that would like to make a contribution to the Global Coherence Pulse. Super important that we all contribute what we can to help make more and more of these events possible. And Claudia, thank you so much for your presence today. And yeah, what a session, huh? So beautiful.
You asked if I wanted to say something, and I had been wondering that myself. And I have to say, Marya and Marshall, this was transporting, and anything that I could say would just be gilding the most beautiful lily. So my deepest gratitude. I'm sure I speak for all or many. This was really a milestone, I think, for the Pulse. Thank you.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Wow. So, oh, wow. Look at that. My video's gone. My computer's been so funny all day. Look, I'm having like the inside of me is something.
The field is showing.
What?
Teresa, the light that you embody can no longer be contained. That's what we're seeing. Thank you so much for another wonderful Pulse.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa.
Thank you so much. So please join us for the integration if you'd like to do that. Somebody asked, like, all of the links that we've been putting in the chat, can we hold on for a minute so we have a chance to get them? All of them are on the islandsofcoherence.net. So if you're on the Zoom line, I know you're registered there because you wouldn't have gotten the link here. So just know that every time we have one of these events, we create a whole page and we put all these links on it, and we're going to keep creating all of that. So we do have a place to go back and interact with the different speakers and the Heartists and all of it. So that's why we created that container too. And you have a profile on there. So this week, go take a picture of yourself, put it on the profile, share some things about yourself. We're really building the ability for us to connect together. So the links, yes. So let's post one more time, Penny, the link to the Zoom. And I did put in a link for a contribution, and I just want to say something about that before we go. There's a couple levels of contribution that we're looking for. And one is just that, as a community, we can all give a little bit. We can give a little bit once a month, or we can just make a one-time donation just to say, I think this is important and I want to see it continue. And it's going to be the community choosing it that actually makes that happen. And so if you have even just a little bit, it's the energy behind it, and it's the commitment to wanting something to happen that we all choose, because we're creating the future with our thoughts, words, and deeds, but also what we do with our resources. And the second thing that we're really open and inviting is if there's anyone out there that wants to sponsor events like this, right? You're excited about it. You want to really help us to do some more events. We're looking for event sponsors. And then if you want to be a patron of the Global Coherence Pulse to really help us to extend our systems and to do more extending our work into the world, we're really happy to receive that too. So I'm just putting that out there because we can't keep doing this without everybody just contributing what they can to activate the torus and to create some flow so we can keep going. So thank you everyone for this beautiful, beautiful session. We'll keep pulsing the field, as Marshall said, not just during these sessions, but every day. And when we feel ourselves out of balance, the moment that we recognize it, all we need to do is just to kind of stop, touch into our hearts, breathe, and recenter and pulse the field again. So I'm going to put the link in one more time for the donation. Somebody was just asking for that. Thank you. And we'll see you over in the lounge if you want to come and hang out just a little bit. Blessings, happy Lions Gate, and see you next week. We have Jude Curvin, Jane Corbett, and Joe Dispenza in the evening with Roland McCready. We've got quite a lineup coming, so see you again next week. Love you all. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Unstoppable joy.
Unstoppable joy. All right.